Welcome to Own the Chaos. The stock market is crazy and chaotic.
Oh my God, are you seeing this shit, bro? Tesla closed at $695. What the hell is going on?
Brad and Fat Man Zoom are here to help you own it.
Now with IBM getting here, I think it's just going to come more to the forefront and people are going to get more and more eyeballs on Salesforce. Should see a really nice move.
Taking it to the suits, being relatable and hilarious.
We got D's nuts in the crew. Every crew needs D's nuts. You know what D's nuts' number one holding is? Big C.
Get ready to own the chaos in 3, 2, 1.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. That guy over there is Fat Man Zoom, and we have a stock market earnings watch party all queued up for you. Man, Fat Man Zoom, aside from earnings, things have just been popping off like crazy over the last couple of days. It has been absolutely amazing to be into the stock market, not only this since the first of the year, but man, this week in particular is just popping off like crazy, man. Hold on. Why are you muted?
I muted myself.
Oh.
My bad. This is my fault this time.
It wasn't me this time. What's up, brother?
Nothing, man. I was saying I got 2 words. Drive Shack. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, Drive Shack went crazy. Some of my penny stocks went crazy. FRSX just had a big-ass boner candle while we were waiting to go live. Just unbelievable. So just really crazy stuff happening. Some good opportunities too. I saw Penn come down, and I think Penn's going to be a good grab, especially leading up to the Super Bowl. Just tweeted that out if you guys didn't catch that. Also, we have Tesla coming up with earnings tomorrow. Ended up adding to that in anticipation of a nice run there. So, man, just some good stuff. MITI, yeah, you guys, any of you guys who caught yesterday's video that I put out, MITI shot up over 50 cents a share. I think that thing's heading to $1 too. So congrats to those of you who got into that as well.
Yeah, I think there are definitely some great moves, but you're right. There are some great opportunities, and I think there's still some movement that could be had. I haven't really taken profit in much. I've been more shifting things around and adding to opportunities. So Penn, I added to yesterday. Yeah. I almost added to today, but I kind of just have been hanging out. I feel like I've got a good dollar cost average on that one. IPOD, IPOF, man, I've been adding to that because I think that's an unwarranted move, but there's so many other moves like that. Yeah. So if, hopefully your account's green, you should have some great moves, but to be honest, there are still a lot of good opportunities if you go out and look for them.
It's crazy to think that way, too, because of just how well things have been moving. But, yeah, there really are good opportunities. I was just sitting here looking at Zoom, too. Zoom came down, and Zoom would be a good buy. Just happened to notice that. Would be a good buy here in the 370s as well. So, yeah, definitely some good opportunities out there today.
Yeah, of course. And I know people are talking about GameStop. Check out Brad's video if you haven't had the opportunity to, but talked about GameStop and potentially which stock is the next one to be short squeezed and have that next kind of move. So that was a good one. But yeah, GameStop's interesting. I have zero interest in even trying to play it either way. I know there's a lot of people who either are bullish on it or who are just playing the movement. I think it is a great opportunity for those. But I know my lane. I stay in my lane, and I don't get out of my lane.
There ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. We got some earnings, though, this afternoon as well. If you guys caught today's title, we got AMD, Starbucks, and Microsoft are the big marquee earnings that are coming up after hours today. We covered these during Stockwatch Sunday, but you guys know the drill by now if you've been following us for any length of time. We're going to cover them all throughout the week, too. It's not just on Sunday. So AMD, I think we've talked about this before, probably does really well despite seeing some poor numbers from some of the other tech companies last week like IBM and Intel. What say you, Fat Man Zoom?
Yeah, so earnings per share is 47 cents. We predicted on Stockwatch Sunday. You had 53 cents. I had 49 cents a share. So a slight beat. But somebody mentioned the Chaos Crew earlier in our Discord about a little bit of a concern in the fact that there was some they weren't able to meet some demand. It's kind of like Peloton. I don't think that's an issue.
No.
As long as you are able to address it, I think pent-up demand is good. What do you want? Extra supply?
Right.
So obviously there's a balance in that, but demand is good. Hopefully we hear that demand is remaining high. We feel good about this stock. Hopefully they give some good guidance moving forward. I'm interested. It's 1A, 1B between AMD and Microsoft about which one I'm most excited about today in their earnings, because I really like Microsoft as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Microsoft, the Azure platform has kind of been what has been their cash cow up to this point. So I would imagine that we see more out of them as well. I think that Microsoft in particular has always been one of those ones that kind of has been sitting on the back burner when you compare it to the rest of the FANG stocks. And some people, will lump Microsoft in there, but it always seems to be the one that's forgotten about. And I would venture to say that Microsoft does do well. It'd be interesting to see how it actually reacts to those earnings, though. I think that people have this expectation that Microsoft's just always going to be earnings, and so the reaction seems a little bit lackluster. So we'll see. Maybe they'll have something that really wows us today. Right now, they're up about 1.5%. So it's not like it's been a crazy move today for Microsoft. I think it's just been moving with the rest of the market for the most part.
Yeah, I think they beat something like 85% of the time.
Yeah.
So sort of gives you an indication on what to expect and how it doesn't. If they beat it, sort of the expectation.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I'm not sure, but they have been quiet though, and I don't know. It's been moving up pretty nicely since mid-December. It was lagging a while. It seems like it's moving pretty nicely now. But I think there's a lot more room to run. We'll see what happens. But this is just a great company. Doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. What are you going to do? But we have earnings. I'll pull up the estimates. I don't know what you predicted. I didn't write it down, but we had $1.64 a share as the estimates. I had $1.89. You didn't predict it. We didn't have it on Stockwatch Sunday.
Yeah, this was one that we didn't have. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they come in at $1.89. I think they beat by about 15%. So we'll see what happens. But $1.64. I'm sure you would have said $1.69.
Probably.
So I know what you're saying.
Probably something along those lines. Yeah. Don brought up a good point. He said that I'm looking forward to see if they decide that they're going to get into the EV market to a certain degree. We also saw rumors of Apple getting in. Maybe Microsoft follows suit. Google actually considering dropping out of any of their autonomous vehicle type stuff. So they actually ended up dropping their internet, their space. What's it called? The equivalent to Starlink. And so basically they were kind of in an arms race with Tesla as far as Starlink was concerned. And they ended up dropping out of that. Looks like they might end up dropping out of the EV stuff too. So it will be interesting, Don, to see if Microsoft does talk about that in some of their forward guidance. Definitely could see Microsoft going off if it does end up coming out that Microsoft has ideas or plans to pursue anything in the EV market.
Yeah, and we talked about this on Sunday where if you're smart, you look for something that's like ancillary. So like something sort of on the fringes where you don't need to build an EV. Actually, it'd be a bad business move to try to build an EV, no matter what anybody thinks.
Right.
Your better bet is to do something like NVIDIA, and Microsoft would do this. There's nothing that makes me believe that Microsoft would ever build an EV. Because of how they pivoted their company. They pivoted to cloud. They pivoted to high margin. Go into autonomous driving. So go into anything that helps build EVs, and you could partner with every EV company. And I think if you focus on that technology, you focus on the integration and the software, I think there's so many opportunities that companies can take. And I expect at some point in time, who knows when, but I expect Microsoft to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I think every company is going to want to be a part of that autonomous driving, and just to whatever the move on the EV is and wherever it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Some people brought up some good points about them maybe going into EVs with GM since they'd already partnered with them on the Chevy Cruze. So great points. If anything like that comes out with Microsoft, and of course we're just speculating at this point, but that would be huge for them. And it would make sense. I think that would be something that would make a lot of sense. And I think a lot of people would hop on that train with. I mean, we've already heard from Bill Gates and his involvement with whatever SPAC stock that just escaped me, but he's involved with EVs on that side of things. So I think it'll be good for Microsoft to start mentioning something like that. It should do well for the company. So, all right. So we also have Starbucks, and we did talk about Starbucks on Stockwatch Sunday, and I actually anticipated them potentially coming off or falling off a little bit because the run up on Starbucks leading up to earnings was a little bit too much, in my opinion. Not to say that I think that they missed, but I think that they have to beat by a ton in order for it to keep going. It is up again today, just over 1% at 104. But if we look at the daily chart here, I mean, it has just been going absolutely bonkers since its last earnings and hasn't really come down. Went up as high as 107.75, pulled back a little bit and kind of has been a little bit sideways. But for the most part, Starbucks has been going off the chain since their last earnings. And I just think that maybe this earnings they need probably to cool down. Again, if they surprise us, if they blow this out of the water to a point to where people are just like, holy crap, they're really growing, then it may move. But it's got to be a huge beat in order for Starbucks to go any higher, in my opinion.
Yeah, you actually had them missing 55 cents a share is the estimate.
Yeah.
I have them beating at 61 cents a share. You had them slightly missing at 53 cents a share. I'm pretty confident in Starbucks beating. They missed right after COVID. So that first quarter report after COVID, they slightly missed. They actually had a great quarter, a great beat last quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's still a lot left in their performance. So I do expect like a pretty good beat. But I also don't know if this will necessarily go off. It's a great long-term stock. It's not incredibly sexy, but this is such a great stock. It's such a great company. And it is, as far as hospitality is concerned, I think it's sort of top of the list when you think about two or three stocks that are just reliable. I put Chipotle and Starbucks. They figured it out. They cracked the code, and I love this company.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love the company too. I think it's still a really good long-term hold. I was just looking for opportunities for you guys to maybe look to add to this. So if they do either just beat earnings or maybe just come just under, expect a potential pullback to about maybe $100 a share.
Yeah.
And so that's where I would look to scoop this up. I don't anticipate it having any kind of crazy drop below that. So that would be my first area that I'd watch to grab Starbucks. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Before we get into AMD's earnings, I just wanted to take a quick look at FRSX. You guys saw that this is a stock that I put up on yesterday's video, but I've been talking about this one since $7.50 is now up to $10.88. Not sure what's going on here. I don't see any news, but it looks like there's some pretty serious buying going on. All-time highs was just a couple of days ago at $11.22, looking like it's trying to make its way back up towards there. So we'll see what FRSX does. But man, what a couldn't have timed that any better. The day after the video goes out, this thing just starts to pop off in the middle of the day. I'm freaking loving it.
I also want to shout out our starting five. I didn't shout them out in the beginning.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Shout out to Steve Jackson, Todd Landon, John Shipley, Dina Karagianopoulos, and Sean Ethier. What's up, people? Thanks for heading in early. Appreciate you.
So AMD, they have earnings after hours today too, and some people were a little bit nervous about AMD because of the way that Intel kind of had lackluster earnings, IBM had lackluster earnings, but I think the opposite. And we talked about this on Stockwatch Sunday a little bit. And I think that AMD actually knocks it out of the park yet again. If we get any more insight on some of their outlook for this year and some of their technology that they've been developing specifically in the nanochips and that sort of thing, I think that AMD does extremely well, and we could see a march up to $100 a share. $99.23 is the all-time highs. If we see a beat and then some, I think that $100 will be a thing of the past. And then Intel could drop further still if AMD comes out with more advancements in that technology.
Yeah, we said this earnings season is going to be interesting because there's sort of this bar that they've got to get over now, and really Q2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start seeing that where, this is going to be boiled down to guidance and what they have moving forward. But AMD kind of benefits because they got beaten down a little bit with the Intel move or the Intel news. And so I think this bodes well for them because if they had been on fire, I think a lot of these companies are going to see some profit taking. I agree. I like these levels. It could come down to 90. If it goes below 90, I love it at 90. But I think because of the situation, if they do produce a monster earnings, I think it's ripe to run. So we'll see what happens after hours. This is probably the one I think is most likely to make a move today after hours.
Yeah. Don said, I'm a chart guy and AMD's chart looks the best. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue. There's so many things that are going for this that lean towards the bullish side of things that I think that I would agree with you that AMD has the best setup out of the three that we're watching today. So I'm super excited to see how this one turns out. But man, they all could very well just pop off. I got some questions. Some people were asking about DR Horton that had earnings today as well. This was on Stockwatch Sunday. They actually crushed earnings and came in above expectations as far as sales, but then it came down. And this is kind of what we talk about when it comes to good earnings, and that they don't always translate into a move up. Today it did. It went all the way up to 83.25, but I think that there's definitely some profit taking that took place. But everything else looks good on DR Horton, and it's nice to see that it's actually holding up over its new support at $77. We'll see if this holds here, but I like this opportunity to grab onto DR Horton. They had they said they are well positioned for spring selling this season and the remainder of 2021, so their outlook was really good here. I think that DR Horton continues to do really well. Nothing to be worried about here. I think it was just some simple profit taking after a solid earnings beat, and so I would be looking to grab some DR Horton as well after their earnings today. Yep,
this is only the beginning, people. All real estate. And we love home builders, but I mean, you're starting to see the news come in, and we put this on the watch list where we're starting to see Wall Street's figuring out what's going on. And it's kind of like we planned it, where we talked about it, where it's probably a little later than I thought, but the news is starting to come in. And I think that we're going to continue to get more news. We got November news. Demand was at all-time highs. What was it? The highest increase, I think it was like a 10% increase year over year for November. So the highest we've seen in November in over a decade. So these are the type of numbers that we're going to continue to see. We don't think it's going to let up. Again, we've said it a million times, supply is the issue. Supply will come, and when it comes, these stocks are going to continue to roll.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, we finally started to see some movement out of Rocket too. Speaking of, and if DR Horton thinks that there's going to be a good a Rocket in springtime, I think that Rocket's going to continue to do well too. That elusive $24 per share resistance has just been a pain in my ass ever since that we've been talking about Rocket. It seems to just continue to come up here and retest that $24 mark. But man, I think that the more that this builds pressure up at $24, the harder this should break above that once we finally do get that break up above $24 a share.
Yeah, this has always been a long-term play for me. So I like where it's sitting, and it's looking like it. I mean, it's coming back today. Even today, it's kind of coming back a little bit.
Right.
I can't. It doesn't surprise me only because we talked about this yesterday. I feel like some people have been so impatient with Rocket that now it's finally moved, they're just like itching to get out.
Yep.
And I have no interest of getting out anytime soon. If it goes back to 20, I don't care. I'm going to stay in this stock because it's so undervalued, in my opinion, that this could continue to roll. It is not in my short-term swing. It's in my long-term investment, in my long-term in our public long-term account. We're full position sizing in this bad boy.
Yeah.
So we're hanging on to it, and could be for the whole year we'll hang on to this.
Yeah, and I think it for me, it's just as long as it takes at this point.
Yeah.
Looking at a couple of other things, some people had some questions about Peloton and how it might relate to tomorrow's earnings with Apple. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to save that for tomorrow? But that's a great question, I think.
I mean, I think Peloton is at a great level where I'm looking for confirmation on this. If you were thinking about getting in, this could be one where you could do a nice little asymmetrical trade on this. I think it's a good opportunity. Um, I think Apple has a long way to go in the fitness space. I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah.
You know, we may touch on it tomorrow, but like it's needed to cool off a little bit. Peloton has needed to cool off.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure it's aligned with the earnings, and we'll get some information tomorrow, but Peloton has so many catalysts. I mean, Apple's providing fitness is like a nice little side thing. It's not going to be a core competency for them. It's not going to be their main thing. It's just another offering.
Right.
Like Spotify with music. I mean, Apple Music, but like Spotify is dominant in that. I don't see them overtaking them. I think that if you're in the ecosystem, great, but Peloton is just going to, you're not going to get me off Peloton for 2021.
No. I was going to say I still definitely feel bullish about this. If you really wanted to wait out to see if Peloton gets affected by Apple, I would say see if it comes back down to 140. I think that I would end up grabbing the hell out of Peloton if it came down to 140, if by some chance it does get influenced on tomorrow's earnings. But I think we'll talk about that a little bit more going into tomorrow. We're going to be doing a special live stream for you guys tomorrow. We'll be going live at 2 p.m. and we'll be with you throughout the entire afternoon through earnings to get our reactions off of Apple, Tesla, and what's the other one tomorrow? Facebook. Those are the big three that will be reporting tomorrow, so you guys will be able to hang out with us all afternoon, get our live reactions. Speaking of live reactions, we are doing our live reactions for AMD, Microsoft, and Starbucks today, but it's going to be with our Chaos crew. Now, if you guys aren't part of the Chaos crew, make sure you're hitting that join button next to subscribe. You'll get our daily watch list plus private live streams. You could also get alerts as well. And then you can, if you just want to get our free daily watch list, you can also go to ownthechaos.com and sign up for that and be a part of the list that way.
Most importantly, we now have a Discord. So that's probably the most value you get out of it is our Discord. You can be a part of our community and chat with other people that are in the Chaos crew.
I see Willis hitting us up with the donates. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Good to see you, African Emporium.
Willis in the house.
Popping in every now and then. Good to see you, man.
I will say another one that we talked about on Stockwatch Sunday to look as an indication for Apple is Verizon, and Verizon is down today over 3%. I don't have the numbers. I don't know if you could pull up the numbers for earnings because didn't they report this morning? Didn't Verizon report this morning?
I'm not sure actually. Let me double check.
So I have so I'll talk about sort of what their expectations were. $1.17 a share. Revenue estimates were $34.5 billion, which is slightly down year over year, just like a smidge, basically even year over year. But what we really were looking at, which hopefully would be an indication for Apple, was phones. And so they anticipated 500,000 post phone net adds. So that's really should be interesting. Verizon, we really like. Yeah. Verizon's a great position for your long-term portfolio. It's in our dividend bot. And I think this could go back down a little bit further, but I think this is a good opportunity. This is a great stock to add to or to get into from your long-term position because it's a dividend. So as it goes down, your yield goes up and Verizon isn't going anywhere. Yeah.
So it looks like there was a internet outage on the East Coast to the point where the FCC is actually looking into this. So that's probably why there's a little bit of a downturn. But yeah, they actually reported earnings and came in with a pretty solid beat as far as Verizon's concerned. But it looks as if the sell-off is kind of for a BS reason. So in my opinion, I think it would be a good opportunity to actually buy this if you're looking to get into some Verizon.
Yeah, so for those of you that want to get into or are really curious about Apple, have big stakes in Apple, I would dig through the earnings of Verizon, and I bet you're going to be able to get an indication on what's going to happen tomorrow. I haven't had time to look at it. Maybe I'll have time before our thing tomorrow or live stream tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if that's your main position size, I would be going all the way through their earnings and figuring out if I can get any sort of clues as to what's going to happen for Apple tomorrow.
Loving it, my man. What else we got? I think that's it.
Yeah, we just got a couple people shouting out Fiverr. I know a lot of people have been talking about Fiverr. Vinay said Verizon was a slight beat. Thanks for that. Rocket, talking about Rocket. Yeah, I mean, if you want to pull up Fiverr, we haven't talked too much about Fiverr, but I know a lot of people in our crew are big fans of it. And looking for an entry on that, I think we can throw one of those out there.
Yeah, so Fiverr is definitely one that we remain bullish on moving forward. A lot of people kind of equate Fiverr being bullish only because of the pandemic, and we've talked about this pretty emphatically that this is a new era, in the way that we do business, in the way that we work, in the way that people freelance. You can just look at the amount of people that decided to just start their own businesses, and they all did it digitally. Well, that's where Fiverr really comes in and shines. If you guys need, and we use Fiverr. The voiceover that you guys heard at the beginning of the stream was from Fiverr. Some of the overlays came from Fiverr. The one that you're watching us on now, I actually paid somebody on Fiverr to do. So they are getting a lot of revenue because of that, and I don't think it slows down anytime soon. Once people realize that they can actually work on their own and they can work from home and really virtually anywhere they want to, i.e. where Fat Man Zoom is, it's not always in the same
place.
Back in Tampa. That's right. So, Fiverr is just going to be another monster of a stock, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I would take advantage of some of the dips here. I do, however, think that it probably comes down just a little bit more, maybe perhaps around 211, 211.20 is kind of where I'm seeing the support. And then if it can't hold that, then again down to 192. But nevertheless, it is definitely very much a nice dip grab opportunity for Fiverr, in my opinion. I think it goes higher.
I agree. I think it could come down some more, and I'm willing to risk it. If it doesn't come down, I think it's worth the risk. If you have been interested in this stock, if you want to get a starter, cool, scale into it. But I think this is one that's worth being patient, especially because if there's a sell-off after Wednesday, Fiverr the whole market could come down, and Fiverr could be one of the ones that comes down.
Yeah.
If it comes down to 200, below 205, really, I'm going to be looking at it for the long-term portfolio for our public account. But it's in a great spot where, like AMD, if it can come down to that 205, below 200, it's a clear buy. It's less than a month away from earnings. If you can get it below 200, I would be holding it until earnings for that run up into earnings. If it doesn't run up, I think they still have monster numbers, and I think it will run up after. So this is a great opportunity play here, but just be patient. Be patient with it. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come. But you're right. I think it could come down a little bit further for a great entry opportunity.
Yeah, man, I agree. And I don't know, all these remote work stocks that people seem to be abandoning, there's going to be really good opportunities on all of these, and Fiverr is definitely one of them. One final thing that I want to address is Johnson & Johnson came out with an earnings beat this morning as well, and they also came out with vaccine news. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the way that I was reading this is that it's actually going to be a single-dose vaccine. So I think that's the direction in which they're headed. It's gapped up all the way up to 173.65, which is actually a monster move for J&J. It's actually cooled back down. I think potentially this could actually maybe come back down and retest below 170. If it does, I think it's a very clear buy. But this is one of the very few stocks that actually moved up on positive vaccine news. And I'm wondering if this actually breaks a little bit of that trend, especially when we saw AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and Moderna all come out with vaccine news and everything sold off.
Yeah, this was in our daily watch list for today.
Yeah.
Johnson & Johnson. And
which you can get for free, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing I want to say.
Yeah.
So every morning we send out 5 stocks that we're watching. We email it, we put it in our Discord, and we put it on YouTube. So if you're interested, go to ownthechaos.com, get free watch list. It's free to get, it's free to access. So we just actually opened it up for everyone. But here's why it was on the watch list, and it is all about the vaccine.
Yeah.
Some people may be wondering, like, hey, listen, it's behind compared to all the other companies. But we've said this about Johnson & Johnson. They are very intentional, and they're going to do things right. Their studies are far greater. Like the amount of people they use, their due diligence is like 3 times the amount that like AstraZeneca was.
Yeah.
Right? They were just trying to get it out.
Right.
Whereas Johnson & Johnson was doing it right. And I think the one-shot vaccine is a game changer. Where why would you do 2 if you could do 1?
Yeah.
And so to me, they just went into phase 3. Apparently, we're going to hear the results on the call, the CEO said at the end of this week, I think what's more realistic is the end of next week. And more importantly, they're looking to get the federal authorization for, I guess it's an emergency authorization use for the beginning of next month. We should hear that that's going through.
Yep.
So February, we should hear that. This is typically a long-term play, long-term hold, has a nice little dividend, steady mover. But I do think that this is going to be a top stock for February, and this could move, especially once people realize this one shop. Let's help me out here.
It's a one-stop shop
vaccine.
Yeah, so it's. And some of the things that I've been seeing as far as side effects are concerned, people really are feeling like crap after the first and second shot for these two-round vaccines. So this time it's like, even if you get some sort of side effect from Johnson & Johnson's, at least you only have to deal with it once. And so I think that people are going to be way more attracted to this. Not only that, but Johnson & Johnson's ability to carry out more vaccine doses than anybody else also bodes well for them. And it may actually push Moderna, push Pfizer and AstraZeneca out as far as the market space is concerned. Now, the governments, all the other countries are going to scoop up as many vaccines as they can. But the fact of the matter is that Johnson & Johnson has boasted that they can actually issue 1 billion vaccines compared to some of the other ones that I think only can meet up to, at best, half of that. So this is going to be something that I think is definitely worth keeping an eye on. Johnson & Johnson, if they execute this out very well, I would be willing to say that this probably goes to $200 a share over the next quarter.
Well, we said, and we've been on Johnson & Johnson below 140.
Yes.
But we said that they do it right. Mm-hmm. And this is a one situation where it doesn't benefit you to be the first mover over time. So these other companies got to move up, but they've been able to sit back and watch, and they're able to now come in and learn from all the mistakes, where we're hearing all these stories about the doses and issues with logistics and deliveries and storage, and they can come in and they can do what they do best.
Right.
And so they've been quiet, they keep low key, but when this news, when it gets released and when it gets approved, really is what we're looking for, I think it will move.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And wouldn't you, everybody's talking about getting whether they're going to get the vaccine or not. I trust Johnson & Johnson more than I trust any of these other companies, especially because they're not rushing it.
Yeah.
So for me, if I do get a vaccine, I'd wait for Johnson & Johnson vaccine. That's just me. And I think there's more people that will feel the same way.
I agree. For me, it was Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer were the top two that I think that I probably would have gone with. I'm very nervous about Moderna, if I'm honest, just because this is the first of anything that they've come out with that's actually been effective. And there's just no history behind it, right? We have no idea what the side effects could be long-term or anything like that. So, and, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. I think it's just a fact. I think it's a normal reaction to just be like, well, I don't know about this because there's just no history behind it. There's no real reputation, where something like Johnson & Johnson or even Pfizer, you know that they've been able to make successful drugs and vaccines and that sort of thing. So it just gives you a little bit more comfort, I would say, which also bodes well for the stock and the company in general.
Yeah. So watch out for Johnson & Johnson. This may be a good one, maybe on the top stocks for February. We'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep, absolutely. That's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. We certainly appreciate it if you hit that like button on your way out the door. And if you want to get more of Own the Chaos and get our live reactions for AMD, Microsoft, and Starbucks earnings after hours, make sure that you're hitting that join button next to subscribe. We would love to have you as a part of the Chaos crew. It's $4.99 a month. It's not really going to break the bank. It's no risk to you. You're going to get a daily watch list out of us. You're going to get access to the Discord as well. If you guys want to be a part of that, make sure you're hitting that join button, and we'd love to see you guys over at the Chaos crew.
Yo, why are you guys dogging on my medium shirt?
You're in your balking. You're balking.
Demon Deacons.
You're in your balking phase.
I am. Bye.
See you guys. Have a good one.